Hello, I'm Deb Knight. Welcome to A Current Affair. If you buy an apartment in a complex where the roof is covered in solar panels, you'd expect big savings on your power bill. But developers and power companies are doing hidden deals so they pocket the profits, leaving apartment owners paying full price.
So the builders and the developers are laughing all the way to the bank, and we as buyers never saw any of that.
Property owners claim they've been swindled.
Yes, we are being taken advantage of and we are being ripped off.
And the experts agree.
It feels like developer greed.
Solar panels in plain sight, installed on the roof of Sebastian's apartment building in Sydney's Sutherland.
We might as well be on the grid with everybody else and pay for what we get. At least we know what's happening, but we don't get any benefit out of it. So what's in it for us? What's the point?
When Sebastian and other owners moved into their newly built apartments last year, they were sold a vision: energy-efficient living. Instead of receiving heavily discounted electricity, though, they were hit with an expensive curveball. And it's a whopper.
The next thing you know, we had a bill of almost $30,000 turn up for usage.
Adam also bought an apartment in the Dwell building. He says that large bill was for electricity usage on common areas and property.
I looked at the bill. Other people on the committee looked at the bill. They turned it sideways, they turned it left, right and upside down, and we couldn't see where there was any return on the solar.
It wasn't cheap, despite a sustainability report which was attached to the contract of sale, attributing hot water systems and outdoor pool heating to solar collectors. That's when owners discovered there was an agreement signed between developer Altitude New South Wales Proprietary Limited and energy provider Arc Energy before they moved in.
I didn't see any contracts in relation to the solar. Nothing. The only thing that I saw was a contract in relation for the purchase of the unit. Didn't see anything else. Wasn't advised about anything else.
We were shocked to learn that we're now locked into them for 10 years.
The agreement was part of an embedded network arrangement. Infrastructure providers install systems like electricity, water, sewerage and internet for free or for reduced payment. In return, developers sign up their apartment buyers to contracts. In the case of the Dwell building, a 10-year contract for electricity, hot water and gas with Arc Energy.
We're trapped. If we want to get out of it, it costs us a lot of money to get out of that contract. We didn't know any of this before we signed up. We can't have a situation where things have been done before we moved in without taking into consideration what the needs of the people that are going to be living there are.
Arc Energy told A Current Affair the agreement was a standard one. The company highlighted that installing the infrastructure was costly and says residents are getting a discount, but didn't reveal how much. Altitude New South Wales Proprietary Limited did not respond to our request for comment. These deals can mean big profits for property developers and are becoming increasingly common.
Developers are getting credit for building green apartment buildings through planning law, but none of that green energy is flowing to owners.
Professor Kathy Sherry is an expert on strata and community title.
But the contract that the Owners Corporation has been made to sign will often say that all of the electricity generated doesn't belong to the apartment owners, it belongs to the embedded network operator, and it can sell that energy back to the grid for its own profit.
Kathy says often owners have no control over the terms of a contract.
Well, the problem is that when they've probably bought off the plan, and the contract probably was 1,000 to 2,000 pages long, and it didn't really disclose anything because at that point lots of stuff is not actually finalised.
The contract was signed by the building's then Strata manager, Michael Lee of Result Strata, before the building's first owners' meeting. According to Fair Trading, Lee and Result Strata consistently failed to act accordingly, failing to disclose conflicts of interest and charging fees for services not rendered. The government body has since cancelled the licences of Lee and his company and permanently disqualified both from operating in the strata sector in New South Wales. Michael Lee didn't respond to our requests for comment. David Glover is Secretary of the Owners Corporation.
And unfortunately, people love to exploit vulnerable people. And it creates a situation where one developer does it and it means they can increase their profit. So another developer will go, crikey, I have to do the same thing to compete.
What can people do to protect themselves from falling into contracts like these?
Make sure you have good legal advice from someone who really understands strata. So find someone who does, raise the issue of embedded networks, ask them to go through the contracts very, very carefully and be prepared to pay for that advice.
Either way, these owners are locked in for a decade.
Well, I do feel that we're getting ripped off. It's very sad for us because a lot of people that are moving into units are retired people who have limited incomes.
Well, there is a crackdown looming, with consumer law watchdogs taking a very close look at these cosy deals, so watch this space. In the meantime, if you are buying an apartment, make sure that you get advice and an expert to take a close look at the fine print.